It's like, so why do I do massage? It's, something that, well, first of all, I had to find something interesting to work at to pay the bills. After college, thought I was going to go to grad school, clinical counseling, psych, PhD route, maybe research, have a private practice. Couldn't stand the thought of another 6 years of school, so I figured I'd try 6 months of massage school. And, like now, I find the work, just fascinating in the sense that, I can press here, work on this muscle there, and in real time, I get to see the adaptation taking place in the body, the reaction, the client's reaction. Are they, relaxing more? Is it, how is it changing their nervous system? Are they on edge because the pressure was too much, wrong angle, mess with the joint in the wrong way? Or are they slowly settling in, slowly becoming more at ease in one way or another? And that's why I like working slow. It's, it gives me the time, it gives my little brain the time to react, the time to take in what they're taking in. Working slow, stopping with trigger points, trying to feel, which layer to be at, which layer to, is, maybe kind of stuck and needs that little bit of give given to it. There's something that happens, just with, working with people, with bodies, where there's that alignment, tunement, to each other, which, sometimes is taken for granted, but, can lead to special moments of, connection, enjoying each other's company, and just enjoying like being in this world, and like understanding that, life isn't always perfect. Life doesn't, go the way that we want it to, or like, hey, like we stress about life. It's just like, yeah, that's called life. And with that said, there's so many good moments. There's so much, time to appreciate, who we are, who we surround ourselves with, and, being able to work one-on-one without a lot of commotion, something that, I never thought I'd be doing in this way, sits kind of special with me. And, back to like the bodywork side of it, like I said, just being able to, for lack of better words, almost, even though this isn't perfect, manipulate the tissue and try to feel like the real-time reaction of what's going on in the client, and then adjust that, and then constantly, like record that, constantly, keep track of, to the best of my ability, when I do this, what happens on the table with the client. All right, if I do that same thing with another client, what happens there? Is it a similar reaction? Is it depending if they have this other issue going on? Is it dependent on like how calm or how lit up their nervous system is, or is it dependent on like their personality, their emotional state? And then just over and over and over again, keeping on trying to figure out, what works with what person, what works individually, what works, with the general population of at least the clients that come to me, and just, keeping on mapping that out, keeping on figuring out new ways to do things while holding, the principles that I've learned, holding them, but also being open to adjusting them if there's better principles to be found. So there's always this constant, back and forth, with myself, with the client, and whether or not that's said or spoken, it's felt. And in some ways, that seems to be a primary experience. And so again, to be a little corny, very grateful to, I try to appreciate that, just primary, felt experience of feeling where like, words don't have to be exchanged and like you're still building rapport and connection. And yeah, so for me, massage in that sense is fascinating. It's always going to be fascinating to keep on, building those patterns, adding to my repertoire, figuring out different ways to kind of help, whatever that means. But also, just seeing how seeing how the body reacts to different stimulus, to different input. Seeing how like the nervous system, what makes it feel what it needs to feel, and then just trying to, stay true to that, trying to accept that, what may be best for someone else may not be what's best for me, and not trying to push, my kind of agenda on that. Like I said, best I can. So this work, like I said, it holds a special place for me, and at least at this point, don't see why why I would ever stop, and continue just keep on figuring it out. Something like that.